Our guy Nick Underhill, neworleans.football, joins us now. Nick, how you doing, sir?
Doing great. How you guys doing?
Doing fantastic, and I'm sure you're pretty excited. Not like Christmas morning excited. That's like training camp, but maybe like birthday excited because you got a little mini camp for the Saints.
Yeah, no, it starts today. At least two practices. They scheduled two with like fans out there. I don't know if they'll do all three or not, but yeah, look, I think this is it's an exciting time with this team at least. Like I've never really been more interested to go out and see practices. By August that might no longer be the case because they might reveal themselves as not being a very good team. But right now, like the gift's still wrapped up. It hasn't been opened
That's
up.
right.
You aren't disappointed. Your mom didn't get you the Team Jordans instead of the Jordan 3s. Like you got the right Jordans, not the Foot Locker on the shelf ones. Like that
Right.
could be in the box. So until you find out, it's exciting, man. I'm eager to see what these guys look like.
Yeah, I'm as well. There's so many different intriguing position battles. Certainly the quarterback's going to lead the charge there, but what the offensive line is going to look like. But I want to ask you about the running back position because, Nick, it does seem like they are in the market for a veteran running back. I mean, they've kind of been tied loosely to some of these running backs. I know Nick Chubb just went to the Texans, but Cam Akers is somebody the Saints are interested in at least, and it feels like they want to bring in another veteran running back, even though they have AK and Clyde Edwards-Helaire on the roster already.
It's interesting because like it's a position that could be crowded if some of these maybes hit, and if none of the maybes hit, it's a borderline disaster.
Yeah.
Clyde's a huge maybe still. I think there's a lot of talent, but he was available end of last season. And, when a guy's out there on the open market in November, December, there's usually a reason for it. Talent's obvious, was a first-round pick, but it's been a few years since we've seen him kind of capitalize on that for a multitude of reasons. And, hopefully all that's, set up to where he can show it consistently now. So he could be boomer bust. Kendray's very boomer bust. I still can't get my head around the idea that someone can't figure out like 8 plays that he can execute consistently. Because like even when he doesn't know exactly what he's supposed to be doing, like we've seen him break off 9-yard runs, like it's nothing. But he's very boomer bust.
Yeah.
Devin Neal, a late round pick, theoretically should be good, but we don't know. I haven't seen anything out there. Marcus Yarns, the UDFA, has looked really good in these practices, but he's a UDFA and we haven't seen him take a hit yet. Like if all those things go sideways, Alvin feels like the one constant, but at some point he is going to look like a 30-year-old running back. Like I don't know when that happens, when it hits, but assuming he's fine, yeah. I mean, one of these things could hit, and you have a decent room. 2 could hit, you have a great room, or they could all bust, and maybe you need Cam Akers, and he's trying out this week at minicamp, and he's had 2 torn Achilles. Wasn't very good last year, but maybe the time and distance from that second torn Achilles, allows him to kind of tap into more what he was at the beginning of his career. He bounced back really, really good from the first Achilles tear. Second one's taking a little bit more time, but yeah, I mean, look, I think it makes sense to look at these guys, and even if let's say all the maybes hit, like if you're building on a strength and you're picking the best 3 or whatever at the end of it, that's not a bad spot to be either.
All right, Nick. I'm always going to lead my questions and start off with quarterbacks because we all know the quarterback's the most important person in the room. And the Saints, I mean, we have a full-out, bona fide QB1 battle. So going into minicamp, is there really anything else that you can pull from minicamp that you didn't pull from OTAs? We had Scott Tolzien on the show last week, and he was talking – really about like this isn't really evaluating for a starter. This is about getting reps because we don't have pads on. Like training camp, that's when the real competition. But of course, that's a little bit of coaches talk. But what can a coach in a mini camp setting see that we kind of haven't already got from OTAs?
For me, I'm really just going out here, and I just don't want to see one of them look worse than what we've seen. Like I just want to see forward progress or holding steady. I feel decent about where these guys are at right now. But the thing is we go out there and it's limited exposure, and we're seeing like very short practices. They're practicing indoors. It's from what I've heard, the practice they've allowed us to see each week is a lot more condensed and controlled than the other ones. Like we go in, we see about 7-8 passes from each quarterback, and then we're out of there. And it could just happen to be that on we saw Spencer Rattler's 3 best days, and there's a positive viewpoint there. I think seeing it in this setting, kind of, outside, people screaming, a little more adrenaline, got the heat going, some sweat on the football, whatever, all that stuff. Yeah. Got the actual vets out there now. Like, I think that plays a part in these guys completing. I want to say it's like 92% of the passes that we've seen thrown in these 7-on-7s. Like now you got Tyron out there. DeMario's going to be out there every day. Like when you got the full secondary, does it look a little bit different? And like I hope it does look a little bit different, but I don't want it to look discouraging different. And honestly, I'm just looking for continued momentum. And I want to be able to go into this break believing that, if X and Y happen, then Z is possible. And a step back would feel kind of devastating. So I just want to see a little bit of that forward momentum, some confidence building. And I think in the case of Shough, it's just like incremental improvements. Like, hey, he was slow on this play yesterday. Today he's seeing it a little bit quicker. Hey, he's doing this in rhythm. He's just kind of picking up the details. I think from the sideline, for a non-Matt Flynn observer, like an idiot like me, like that might be hard to piece together, every single time. But I think from a coaching standpoint, that's probably really all they're looking for right now is like little pieces of growth, seeing improvement with the reps, and then, just having a menu of things that you can hand to both these guys at the end and say like, hey, look, these are the good things, these are the bad things, like clean that up for camp. And then I just want to see Shough really, and Rattler too, come back, look a little bit different at start of training camp.
Yeah, and I think it's a good point because it's in competitions like this, it's really easy to overreact. When I was in a competition in Seattle with Russell, it's like I had practices where, I couldn't miss, dicing it up, throwing like 10 touchdowns in a practice, right? Yeah. And the other guy would have a couple batted down at the line of scrimmage that got picked, whatever it was, and things that like just look bad from an observer standpoint. So it's easy to overreact from like a reporting standpoint like that, but you have a good outlook on it. I know that's what kind of Tolzien was talking about. Like we take the whole scope into a decision-making process, and what we're seeing one practice is just like one little tiny aspect of it. But one part from like a coaching and on a competition like this that's difficult to manage is how each guy gets reps. So every team can handle a competition differently from a number standpoint of reps. How are they trading off between first and second team reps? Is it by day? Is it series by series? Is it, one rep by one rep? How are they trading that off right now?
So, well, first, great. Like sometimes I'm embarrassed of myself about how we talk about these like early practices because you're waiting 6 months and you go out and you see an OTA and you dissect 8 passes like, it's the game-winning drive in the Super Bowl because like it's all you have to talk about, and then you have that just for a full week. And when it's a quarterback scope, like it's embarrassing when you look back on it. But look, that's all we can really do.
For sure.
As far as how they're splitting it up, each day it's been Rattler. He's been first team, and every single series I think that we've seen, barring one, has been him going first. We saw Shough in the last practice. Rattler took the first team reps the first time, then it was Shough, and then they do special teams, they come back, and then Shough went first the next time. Now, like a few times when Shough's been out there with the second team, some of the starters from the first team defense have cycled in at some of the spots, and it's kind of like a half squat or whatever. But for the most part, it's been Rattler running it. And the first 2 practices we were out there, we didn't see Hunter Deckers throw at all. He got a series in this last OTA, so. I'm interested to kind of see what he can do too. I think there's a significant gap between him and the other guys, but like his athletic profile is like really, really interesting to me. And I'm kind of curious to see if he can be good enough to maybe make the practice squad. If I had to guess right now, I don't think he pushes Jake Haener. I think there's a pretty decent golf right there, but over time maybe it closes a little bit. But yeah. It looks like Rattler's in the lead now. That's the thing I think I'm most interested in going into training camp is just to really see how they handle this battle. Like, do they call it early if one guy's like really went in? If it's Shough, do they call it early and go with them? Or, do you feel like you owe it to the process to run it all the way through the preseason and kind of, cycle it through and just see where it's at the end? I don't know. I don't know what the right way to do it is. I kind of lean towards settling it, but I could see going through the whole thing too if it stays, close. And, just at the end, I just want to feel like somebody won it instead of somebody like getting it by default or somebody losing it. Like, I just want one of these 2 guys to like really look like they've claimed the job.